Meghan Markle walked onto the Drew Barrymore show like she was royalty. But behind the scenes, things went wrong fast. The crew had lots of complaints, Drew Barrymore got really upset, and something unexpected happened. Backstage. This wasn't just a simple interview. It turned into a complete media meltdown. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. Did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now back to the video.
Meghan Markle, who claims to view Princess Diana as some type of guardian angel, who tells Prince Harry that she communicates with his late mother on a regular basis. She even sometimes comes down and talks to her when she's in yoga. But the moment that Drew Barry...
Forget normal celebrity requests. Meghan didn't just want good lighting, she wanted perfect lighting. The camera angles had to make her look good from every side. The chair had to be specially changed to avoid her sitting in a weird way. And even the interview questions, yes, her team checked and changed them a lot to make sure nothing surprising was asked. If you've ever seen the Drew Barrymore show, you know it's full of good vibes. Drew's energy makes everyone happy. The crew is always smiling, and the set feels super warm and friendly. But when Meghan Markle came in, the whole mood changed, and not in a good way. From the second she arrived, it felt like the room got 10 degrees colder. The staff, who were used to guests joking and giving high fives, were suddenly facing silence. Meghan didn't look anyone in the eye, didn't smile, didn't even say hi, nothing. It was like the crew were invisible people on her own royal reality show.
I think holds on to it because it makes him feel better. But Meghan can't allow anyone else there because this is very, very private. And she gets, I think, very, very angry if anything else happens.
She never once noticed us. One crew member said clearly, we were standing right there holding boom mics, fixing the lights, getting everything ready so she would look perfect. And she acted like we weren't even there.
If someone else has met her and feels that she was wonderful and that feels that she's also in the same group, she doesn't want that at all. We've even seen with Meghan that she's all alone.
And it wasn't just that she stayed quiet. She felt cold, icy, the kind of cold that makes you doubt yourself. Did I say something wrong? Did I do something to upset her? The camera crew, the helpers, even the makeup artist, everyone felt it. Meghan walked in like a queen, visiting ordinary people, only caring about her spotlight, not the ones helping her look great. The crew, who are known for being the nicest in daytime TV, felt really down. Some even said it was the most uncomfortable shoot they had ever done. No laughs, no chatting, just silence and weird looks. And when the cameras stopped rolling, she was gone. No sticking around, no hugs, no great job, guys. Just a fast exit, like she couldn't wait to get out.
Body language. Now, the Drew Barrymore show got such pushback on all of this, Angela, they've actually had to protect their posts on X. But at the end of the day, can you understand why people are so horrified that as soon as this Netflix show had to be promoted, all of the thoughts of privacy of the children is out the window?
Yeah.
She came in like royalty, one staff member said, and left like we were beneath her. Now, maybe it was nerves, maybe she was just having a bad day, or maybe that's just how she is. But one thing is clear, Meghan left behind a cold feeling in that studio that no one will forget anytime soon.
To protect their posts on X. But at the end of the day, can you understand why people are so horrified that as soon as this Netflix show had to be promoted, all of the thoughts of privacy of the children is out the window?
Yes.
The excitement was sky high. Two big stars, Drew Barrymore, the queen of feel-good TV, and Meghan Markle, the Duchess who's always in the news for royal drama and speaking up about justice. You'd expect fireworks, right? Something real, maybe even emotional. But instead, what happened felt super awkward. Right from the first question, Meghan's answers sounded like they were written by a PR team. No real feeling, no laughing, no spark. It was like someone hit play on a robot, reading a script, polished, cold, and way too perfect. It made people wonder, is this really Meghan or a well-trained machine?
So again, it's like, I know this is really you.
Drew, with all her charm and warmth, tried hard to break the ice. She asked the big questions about struggles, being a mom, and living in the public eye. But Meghan stayed closed off, like a wall with no way in. Her smiles felt practiced, not real. Her voice didn't change much, just one flat tone. The whole vibe, totally awkward. One harsh comment said it all. Watching Meghan was like sitting through a TED Talk by Alexa. All facts, no heart. Ouch.
Can be thrown out the window at a moment's notice. Now, Angela,
When you want it.
Yeah,
Gone.
totally. Just gone. Lots of people were talking about how insincere the interaction was between Meghan and Drew Barrymore. We've put together a bit of a compilation, Angela. Watch this.
And everything else, we crave it.
The live audience looked uncomfortable. It felt like when a DJ plays the wrong song at a party. You want to dance, but the beat is just off. Drew's usual warmth didn't match at all with Meghan's cold, distant vibe. And the cameras, they caught every second of that awkward energy.
Full of information, and Meghan doesn't like that. It makes her feel very awkward, I think. And she was, she's moving all the time. She didn't know what to do. She didn't want to touch her, but on the hand, maybe she should. Very, very uneasy.
When Meghan tried to sound more friendly, talking about personal growth and motherhood, it didn't work. It felt fake, like a bad actor forgetting their lines on the first night of a play. You could almost see the production team looking at each other, nervous, trying to figure out how to save this sinking show. When it ended, the polite clapping felt more like a big sigh of relief. People watching online slammed the whole interview, calling it a perfect example of how not to connect with your audience.
Obviously, there were a lot of lies as well in the interview. Angela,
Oh, yes.
I
did this. You did. I did this and that, and they all thought I was amazing. And then I went on to this and that. I mean, we can all do that, but we shouldn't. But it's ridiculous to do that. She doesn't have to grab all that information. I don't think she needs to do that. She's got things which she.
Meghan walked out with perfect hair and a calm, collected look, but the damage was already done. Instead of winning hearts, she left the room feeling cold and distant, with everyone wishing for a real, unscripted moment that never came. If this was supposed to make her seem more warm and relatable, it did the opposite. It left people asking if Meghan's royal life comes with an emotional wall no one can get past. It was supposed to be a sweet and emotional moment. Drew Barrymore, smiling like always, shared an old photo of herself as a young actress meeting Princess Diana. It was just a simple memory, full of nostalgia. But Meghan Markle's face told a different story. What should have been a fun, light moment in the interview suddenly turned cold. Her smile faded. Her eyes got narrow, just a little, but enough for people to notice. Her body stiffened, and for a quick second, the calm, polished look disappeared. All that was left was plain discomfort. Reaction. Because to Meghan, Diana isn't just a famous princess, she's the model Meghan has been following. From the way she dresses to how she gives interviews, even the quiet, spiritual hints. Meghan has spent years trying to become a modern version of Diana. She's talked about feeling Diana's energy, about being treated like Diana by the press, about being compared to her. So when Drew of all people casually shows a real connection to Diana, without making it a big deal, without using it for image or press, it hit different. No drama, no symbols, just a quiet, real moment. And Meghan, she looked like someone who finally realized this time she wasn't the main character.
Down when you're just courting each other and you can see all the good and joy in that butterfly period. And
this wasn't just awkward, it was revealing. A moment where the mood changed and Meghan's carefully built. I'm like, Diana image seemed to crack, even if just for a second. Because no matter how many articles you get written or how many Netflix shows you sign, you can't fake a real connection. And Diana, she didn't need to be talked about to be felt. She was right there in that old photo. In Drew's smile, in a moment Meghan didn't see coming and wasn't ready for.
Okay, so that's enough of her because it was fun, but we have to move on. You don't go out and buy a life jacket when the boat is sinking, and you don't buy gold when the economy has already collapsed. Clearly others are heeding this advice as gold hit all-time highs already this year. It's not too late for you, too, and you could have Birch Gold help you diversify into physical gold.
Whether it was jealousy, ego, or the pain of seeing someone else be real, one thing was clear: Drew had the photo, Meghan had the face, and the cameras caught both. Forget the interview. The real story came after the cameras stopped. Behind closed doors, that's where the real drama happened.
And out here, I always make it a point when I'm traveling if I can't do bedtime stories with my kids because Archie and Lily are.
Multiple insiders say that Drew Barrymore, who's usually all smiles and sunshine, looked really shaken as she walked off stage. But instead of pretending everything was fine, Drew did something no one saw coming. In a rare and real moment, The sweet host finally lost her cool, and this time, she wasn't holding back. "You cannot treat my staff like this," Drew reportedly said, her voice sharp and full of emotion. The usually sweet and cheerful Drew suddenly turned strong and serious, standing up for her team with words that sliced right through the tense air.
This is not how any normal working mom. She's not a working mom. What is she working at? She's done this special, and she did that other lame podcast, like 12 episodes. That's it. Someone does all the work. Literally, somebody has bought the Le Creuset. Somebody has prepared the chicken. Someone has cut the vegetables and the fruit for her. She hasn't touched a thing except for those probably 2 hours a day she's on camera to do these ridiculous faux.
Sources say Meghan's response showed no remorse, not an apology. Instead, the Duchess stood her ground, saying that her demands and behavior were normal in the industry and totally fair. Things got cold, quickly, no compromise, no peace. The backstage argument ended without any warmth. Meghan walked out of the studio without a single word or nod to the crew or to Drew. No. Thank you. No. Sorry. Just silence.
And I want to get my thoughts together. She talks about, this is the moment, SOT 8, that we want to see.
Explained it clearly. Drew was really angry. You don't see her like that very often, but she had enough. She wasn't going to let her team be treated like they didn't matter while Meghan acted like she was a queen.
Talks about, this is the moment, SOT 8, that we want to see. Let's play it.
What's your favorite thing that you see?
This explosive moment lit up the internet. Was this the real reason behind all that icy tension on set? A duchess expecting royal treatment without giving a hint of respect to the hardworking crew? One thing's clear. Drew Barrymore isn't just smiles and sunshine. When it comes to her team, she's fierce and she will stand her ground. That interview may have been awkward on dash screen ... but the real drama, it exploded after the camera stopped rolling.
Yes.
This is all reportedly that his staff hadn't come up with decks and plans for her new shows, right? They were all supposed to do the conceptualizing, the execution of the vision, what the show was.
Viewers didn't hold back. Meghan's stiff, robotic answers. Roasted. But it didn't stop there. People went for her character. Clips of her cold, distant vibe lit up the internet. Comments called her fake, entitled, and emotionally frozen. And when whispers of her backstage diva behavior leaked, the online meltdown was brutal. One savage tweet summed it all up. You learn a lot about someone by how they treat the people who aren't on camera. Meghan failed that test badly. And Drew, she wasn't about to stay silent.
Of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Valentine Lowe, who has reported on the royal family for over 25 years, has written the book Courtiers.
Fans and critics alike came out swinging. This wasn't just an awkward interview, it became a full-blown takedown. Meghan was dragged like never before. People weren't just mad about the cold answers, they were furious at the way she treated the crew. And this time, it wasn't just rumors. The behind-the-scenes receipts were out, and the internet had receipts and rage. Memes exploded. Comments lit up. Hashtags like hashtag Team Drew and hashtag Meghan No Thanks were everywhere. People hailed Drew as the real queen, one who stands up for her team while others just play royalty. If Meghan thought this appearance would win hearts, it backfired in the worst way. She didn't just burn bridges. She set the whole PR house on fire.
Worked for Meghan Markle and Prince Harry refer to themselves as the Sussex Survivor Squad. Some of the former staffers have come forward revealing what they call the truth behind the couple that caused so much friction in the royal family. Within the book, former advisors refer to Meghan as a narcissistic socio.
What happened on the Drew Barrymore show wasn't just a one-off, it was the latest chapter in a much bigger pattern. For years, Meghan Markle's supporters have defended her as a strong woman unfairly targeted by tabloids. But behind the scenes, a very different picture keeps emerging. Former colleagues, palace insiders, even Hollywood crew members have whispered the same thing again and again, that once the cameras stop rolling, Meghan's charm fades fast. And what's left? Someone who's reportedly demanding, cold, and according to many, downright difficult to work with.
With another source calling both the Duke and Duchess outrageous bullies. The Duchess of Sussex reportedly complained about not being paid for a walkabout in Fiji, with one advisor saying working for Harry and Meghan was like working for teenagers.
That backstage clash with Drew Barrymore, it wasn't just a meltdown. It was one more crack in a long, growing list of moments where Meghan's behavior reportedly crossed the line. And this time it's not just Hollywood talking. Even palace insiders, who once stayed silent, are starting to speak out.
Below that when Harry and Meghan started dating, she threatened to dump the prince. The source said she was saying, if you don't put out a statement confirming I'm your girlfriend, I'm going to break up with you. And that before the two were even engaged, she told one of Harry's staff.
Valentine Lowe's courtiers dropped some serious bombshells. Former palace staff, who called themselves the Sussex Survivor Squad, didn't hold back. They painted a picture of Meghan's time behind palace walls that was anything but a fairy tale. Behind the glamour and titles, they say, was a reign marked by tension, tears, and turmoil.
Reported last year that staff had accused the Duchess of bullying, which she denied. Buckingham Palace launched an investigation into the bullying allegations, but refused to make the findings public. Within the book, one staffer alleges that Prince William had to comfort her while she cried after an altercation with Meghan. Another source said that
They didn't hold back. Words like narcissistic, sociopath, and bully weren't thrown around lightly. One insider claimed Meghan could be cold and ruthless, barking orders and pushing staff to tears. It's hard to reconcile that with the polished Duchess we see on screen, but according to the people who worked with her day in and day out, this wasn't a rare outburst. This was daily life.
Staff members at all hours of the day, specifically mentioning a Friday night dinner. Every 10 minutes, I had to go outside to be screamed at.
And here's a shocker. Meghan allegedly threatened to dump Prince Harry unless he went public with their relationship on her terms. That's not just love, that's a power move. Turning a private romance into a strategic PR moment, that's next-level control. One aide even remembered Meghan boldly saying, "I'll be one of Harry's bosses." And this was before they were even engaged. Ambition? Definitely. But to some, it screamed control.
Harry, it was, I can't believe you've done this. You've let me down. What were you thinking? It went on for a couple of hours. You could not escape them. There was no lines or boundaries. It was the last.
And this wasn't just some royal palace issue. That same cold, controlling energy showed up loud and clear on the Drew Barrymore show. From demanding special lighting to straight up ignoring the crew who made the show run, Meghan's icy vibe was impossible to miss. Same attitude, different stage.
Royal exit out of the monarchy. Despite the fact that it was very much kept under wraps from most staff, they began to believe that Meghan Markle knew exactly what she was doing. Everyone knew that the institution would be judged by her happiness. The mistake they made was thinking that she wanted to be happy. She wanted to be rejected because she was obsessed with that.
Whether it's inside royal walls or on a Hollywood set, one thing's becoming clear. Meghan's obsession with control isn't just about the message, it's about the people too. She preaches empathy and empowerment on camera, but behind the scenes, insiders say it's iron fists, barked orders, and zero warmth. The contrast is jarring, and people are done staying silent.
So disillusioned that they began to suspect that even her most heartfelt pleas for help were part of a deliberate strategy that had one end in sight, her departure from the royal family. When the couple did decide to make their royal exit out, according to the book, Harry emailed his father, the now King Charles III, and told him he wasn't happy and they wanted to live in the US. Harry did, however, try and meet.
According to courtiers, Meghan and Harry's royal exit wasn't some emotional last-minute decision. It was a calculated move, a long-game strategy. They knew backlash was coming, so they crafted a victim story to soften the blow. That viral Oprah interview, just one scripted chapter in a much bigger, carefully planned exit plan.
According to Valentine Lowe's book, Harry believed her courtiers got in the way. But as we all know, Meghan and Harry's infamous interview with Oprah Winfrey in March 2021 paints a different story. The two made bombshell allegations about family members and why they chose to leave the monarchy.
In 2021, the palace quietly launched a bullying investigation into Meghan's behavior, but the results? Buried, never released, never addressed publicly. Behind the scenes, HR policies were quietly updated. No press release, no accountability, just silence. And when Prince William himself had to step in to comfort staff emotionally wrecked by what they say Meghan put them through, it stopped being gossip. It became real.
Which would be different from protocol, and that he wasn't going to receive security.
What?
It was really hard. Look, I was really ashamed to say it at the time and ashamed to have to admit it.
Just when viewers thought Meghan Markle's media playbook couldn't get more calculated, she did the unthinkable. She pulled her kids into the spotlight. Not in a sweet, behind-the-scenes family moment, but right in the middle of a Netflix promo tour for With Love, Meghan. She shared sugary stories about Archie and Lilibet, even dropped video clips. But the timing? Way too convenient. What should have felt heartwarming started looking a lot more like emotional marketing.
Because I know how much loss he's suffered. But I knew that if I didn't say it, that I would do it. And I just didn't.
These moments weren't tucked into a tender documentary or a raw family vlog. Nope, they were dropped like emotional bait. Short, sugary clips meant to tug at heartstrings right when the heat was turning up. Strategic, timed, calculated. Instead of feeling authentic, it felt like a PR shield, a play to soften her image, pull sympathy, and dodge the growing backlash closing in.
Be a mom. Before I was a mom, I was like, oh gosh, I'm going to give a speech with a baby on my hip. I had a whole vision. I was like, I'm just going to. And then you fast forward. Granted, I had a lot of external things happening by the time I had both pregnancies and both babies, but it was not the way I envisioned it.
She gets criticized a lot, Jim.
Critics and viewers weren't buying it. Was this a proud mom sharing sweet memories, or a media tactician using her own kids as emotional armor? The internet snapped back fast. Social media exploded with accusations. Meghan wasn't protecting her children, she was weaponizing their innocence to save face and boost ratings. Desperation? That's what it looked like.
Criticized a lot, Jim. I would say that there's probably a lot of mums who found out that motherhood quite wasn't what they expected. So, is this one of her more authentic moments that other women, other mothers would broadly share?
Do you know what I reckon? That's actually the most authentic I've personally ever experienced her. That being said, I don't listen to her podcast and try not to.
Even more damning, the sheer hypocrisy. Prince Harry has been loud and clear. Keep our kids out of the spotlight. They sued over drone photos. They raged against invasions of privacy. But now, Meghan's on national TV, selling those same private moments like clips in a trailer. Sweet family scenes turned into PR currency. The contradiction wasn't subtle. It was blinding.
It's expressing, I think, the universal human condition. Out of all of my friends who have become mothers, I can't think of a single one who has said, oh, wow, it's exactly what I expected. I'm nailing it. It's so good. I know exactly what I'm doing. And this child has fitted seamlessly into my pre-existing life, which has required no changes at all. I mean, that just doesn't happen. You know.
And to make matters worse, body language experts caught something chilling. Her moments with the kids, stiff, robotic, scripted. Gone was the warmth, the natural love you'd expect from a mother. Instead, Meghan smiled, but her eyes didn't. Her stories felt more like rehearsed lines than real memories. The takeaway, even her children feel like props. In Meghan's world, nothing is sacred if it can be spun into good PR.
The interesting thing about that is that she even copied her with a bag she went round the garden, which had strawberries in and all those leaves and all that sort of thing. But it wasn't her home.
But using her kids as props, that wasn't the only card Meghan played. Oh no, she had something bigger up her sleeve. Just when the backlash was heating up, along came her Netflix passion project With Love, Meghan. And let's just say, it didn't land like she hoped.
She wasn't at home. She used someone's garden. She took loads of things out of it. I mean, you just think, and I found out she spent £130,000 on her clothes. She was changing them nearly all the time. But
if With Love, Meghan was supposed to be her big comeback, someone clearly forgot to read the room. What was teased as raw and vulnerable ended up looking like a polished, sugar-coated self-love letter. Tightly scripted, carefully lit, and totally disconnected from reality. Audiences weren't buying the fantasy. They saw the PR stunt a mile away.
She doesn't like cooking. She doesn't like actually baking, she said. But she likes fiddling with all the...
She likes arranging fruit. That ludicrous clip where she's arranging the fruit.
From the very first episode, it was obvious this wasn't some raw, honest look at a misunderstood woman. It was a glossy brand refresh, soaked in self-pity, passive-aggressive royal shade, and moments so overproduced they practically screamed, control freak at work.
You sit and do that, and then they start eating. It takes a long time. I mean, it was very, very weird. I think that the creativity, which she said rather rudely, that she
Critics tore it apart. Some said it played like a Hallmark movie with a god complex. Others joked it looked like Meghan hired PR handlers to script every line and wardrobe change. The vibe? Less authentic journey, more image rehab with mood. Lighting, like watching a high school drama queen direct her own biopic, complete with soft filters. Sad piano, and perfectly timed tears.
Well, anyone who's been to enough children's parties and blown up balloons, after a while you end up having to buy one because you get fed up blowing up hundreds of balloons. Yeah, everybody knows about it. But she's like, a lot of these people, that they discover something as if they're the first person that's discovered it.
Yes. The other one was that how to wrap something. And she had a square box. And she said, you must never...
The backlash came fast and it was fierce. Accusations of racial exploitation started flying. Viewers pointed out something uncomfortable. Meghan seemed to spotlight her biracial identity only when it fit the storyline, not to enlighten or uplift, but to shield herself from criticism. Instead of a real talk about race and royalty, it felt more like a strategic shield, not a statement, but armor against accountability.
Deeply irresponsible, you might say. But that's the problem when you get an amateur who doesn't know how to do any of this stuff. Angela, I also wanted to ask you about Meghan's clothing.
And just when you thought it couldn't get more staged, a glowing article suddenly appeared in the Daily Mail. Yes, that Daily Mail. The same one usually critical of Meghan. This piece, it gushed over with love. Meghan, calling it groundbreaking and heartfelt. But readers weren't buying it. The tone was so off-brand, people instantly smelled a PR stunt. One viewer summed it up perfectly. The show was fake, the article was fake, and I want my time back.
Missing out.
It is unbelievable, isn't it? And mercifully, Harry's only in it very briefly as well. He appears holding a glass of Bucks Fizz, I think, doesn't he?
Yeah, right at the end, 3 minutes he got, which is actually really mean. She wants to prove that she can.
In the end, with love, Meghan wasn't a love letter, it was a polished vanity project that blew up in her face. Instead of winning hearts, it exposed every trait her critics have called out for years. Manipulative, image-obsessed, drowning, in self-pity and desperate to control every inch of the narrative. And maybe the worst part, she brought her own children into the mix, turning motherhood into just another staged moment in her brand-building saga.
I'm pretty sure Meghan has spent enough time close to British culture to know that a lifestyle series of this type would open her up to exactly the kind of cynical criticism that she's receiving. It's a...
When you stitch it all together, from palace insiders to TV, set crews, one thing becomes painfully clear. Meghan's public image is pure PR polish. But behind the curtain, it's a trail of bruised egos, broken trust, and burned bridges. The smiles may be camera ready, but the stories behind the scenes paint a very different picture.
Are criticizing the show. Now, as the Daily Mail itself has just pointed out, Angela, the criticism is coming from everywhere. It's coming from across the political spectrum.
Supporters say Meghan's just a woman battling outdated systems. But critics, they see a pattern: cold control, calculated moves, and cruelty that can't be brushed off as misunderstood. This isn't about bad press. It's about who she truly is when the cameras stop rolling.
Exactly, because there's an expert who's actually gone into this. Watch.
So we see Meghan taking her Epsom salt and she blends it with arnica essential oil.
Audiences today want realness, not rehearsed lines or flawless Instagram moments. And Meghan's gap between who she pretends to be and how she really acts, it's impossible to ignore. Drew Barrymore words still hang in the air. You can't do this to my staff. That wasn't just a defense, it was a reckoning.
And he says the big story of the With Love fallout has not been the fact of the criticism, but the brand names printing it. Jaw dropper after jaw dropper, of which this is probably the biggest sting. But I mean, there are others.
That wasn't just a warning, it was a line in the sand. Meghan Markle's biggest problem, it's not the tabloids. It's how she treats the very people who keep the spotlight shining. Until she faces that truth. The difficult diva story isn't going away. And with every new misstep, she's not killing the rumors, she's proving them.
And that she is very, very close friends with Meghan. He really believed.
For years, Meghan Markle sold the world a story, a tale of grace, compassion, and picture-perfect vulnerability. She stood on global stages, preaching healing, kindness, and empowerment. The world saw her as modern royalty with a humanitarian heart. But behind the curtain, another story was unfolding. one far less polished.
She's been accused of racism for the way that she mocked Mindy Karlin's accent. She's been absolutely slammed for her horrendous fake dancing, which I think we can see here. And I always just think, Angela, please, God.
But then came Drew. One tense afternoon backstage at the Drew Barrymore show cracked that polished facade wide open. Suddenly, the woman who preached love and light was being accused of snapping at staff, rolling her eyes at crew members, and walking off without so much as a thank you. The same woman who once said, "It's not enough to just survive, you've got to thrive." Well, she wasn't helping anyone else thrive that day.
With Harry, who does believe that she's up there in the clouds and telling him which.
She had just survived a very public confrontation and absolutely did not thrive. She preaches compassion, but what she showed was cruelty. One longtime media strategist put it bluntly: how many chances does she get before people start seeing the pattern instead of the PR? This wasn't just a slip-up. This was a reckoning.
This other person, all the time, she can't bear it if anybody actually has done more, said more, seen more than she has herself.
Audiences aren't buying what they can't feel anymore. In a world where authenticity is king, people are tired of polished sob stories and Instagram-filtered activism. They crave real moments, raw truth, and above all, consistency.
I met Diana. She did have this amazing aura. She makes you feel, you almost can't speak. That she's so beautiful and her eyes are so piercing.
So when Meghan Markle, the self-proclaimed champion of kindness, leaves a trail of chaos, from palace hallways to talk show green rooms, people start asking, is this who she really is? Or is it all just a carefully crafted brand? Because if you're going to wear the crown of virtue, you better make sure it doesn't slip when the cameras start rolling.
But not only did she just say zebra, but she said, what?
Drew didn't need a headline. She didn't need a cryptic Instagram quote. No carefully worded PR statement. She didn't even have to raise her voice. Just one chilling line: "You can't do this to my staff." That was it. That was the mic drop.
His father would say, if she didn't want to actually say, well, he's got the same sense of humor, or he's got just as good running with the football, something, but just to say.
In an industry where silence usually hides cowardice, Drew's silence roared. And in that quiet, she claimed the real win. Not for clout, not for clicks, but for the people who show up every day. No glam squads, no entourages, just her crew, her family.
So she didn't want him in. This is Meghan's show, and she doesn't want it. And you see that even if it's a little small thing like that, she doesn't want to say, oh, well, Harry's wonderful with XYZ. It's not. It's just one word, zebra, which it's nonsense, isn't it? One word.
While Meghan Markle walked off the set wrapped in controversy and entitlement, Drew stayed grounded, poised, professional, fiercely protective. The woman America watched grow up, a child star who rebuilt herself through fire and fragility, showed the world something new. She's not just lovable. She's lethal when it comes to standing up for what's right. And the best part, she didn't need to say another word.